Hello everybody and welcome to ChannelLogic. So who am I? Who and what is this ChannelLogic about? So ChannelLogic is about me sharing various type of logics, right? Uh, so at times when we meet a crisis, right, it could be at work, it could be at socializing, it could be at personal life, it could be all kind of various issue, and what we need to do is to find out the logic. Right, so with finding out the logic, one, we are able to come with terms and peace with ourselves. Two, we are able to find a solution to the situation. So this is what channel logic is about. Me going through some tough time in life, right, or some happy moments. Basically, just sharing my life experience and logic. So in case any of you are asking, just some random guy talking about logic, yes and also no. So what is it about? So I'm here to share some of my educational background. Okay, so what is it about? So I I failed my elementary or primary school. I failed my secondary school or high school, and I also failed my technical school or vocational school. So at that point in time, my logic was that I had no way for further education. I thought I was totally doomed to failure in terms of educational background. Okay, uh, please take note, we're talking about education. We're not talking about how smart a person is or how good he is at job. Those are other things, other logic as we call it. So I went to a school. I went to a private institution. This school was very good, right? It helped me, it gave me a second chance. There was this system called entrance exam. I went for entrance exam. So I studied my entrance exam in psychology. I got my diploma in psychology. After that, I went for my advanced diploma. I didn't do so well. I failed and I remoduled and I passed. And then recently, I got my degree. I failed and I remoduled and I passed and I got honors. So I do have some kind of educational background to prove that I am not just talking a bunch of nonsense. I did go through a lot, as I said. I fail, and I remodule until I did well, right? So what I'm trying to say is that the logic here is, uh, find the strength through difficult moments, not just about failing and uh, it's not about failing and falling down, but rather standing up and trying again. So this is what the logic about is. So channel logic here is to help people who are going through tough times, right? Who don't understand what is going on, right? So I'm not here to say that education is everything. Of course not. I've been through my fair shares of workplace as well. The work world is very very different from the school world, right? So vice versa, those who are from the work world trying to go to school world, you will have a big culture shock, and those from the school world, you try and go work world, you will have a big culture shock as well. You will struggle to adjust, right? There are various kind of logic here. There are some people who work for many years. They plan to further educate themselves, or they want to get a better career prospect. They go to school and they struggle because school is a different logic altogether. And there are people who go to school for many years, go to school, they study for many years, and when they go to work they also struggle, right? So I'm more of the second part, the latter, rather than the former. So I went to school for many years. In between those years I went to work part-time just to survive, and when I went back to the working world I really struggled because the things were very very different. So just to give you an example, what's the difference in the logic? Okay, when at school, right, they there's this some kind of guideline, right, like a textbook or some kind of logic where you can follow, and then you just need to so-called add your own variation to it, add your own style, right? That is school. So for example, there's this thing called formal logic and informal logic. So formal logic is how things are written and wrote and spoken, right? Informal logic is how you is known as logic that you use day to day. right? So formal logic is more educational way of thinking, and informal logic is more of day-to-day thinking, right? So at school it's more of, okay, there's this textbook, or there's this as they call it in higher education degree, they call it article, right? It's still textbook, but it's kind of different, right? So a textbook is like there's just one book and everybody reads the same book and everybody explain it in different uh, versions, right? But at the same time, that with that textbook, everybody can derive to a goal, whereas in higher education, that was in lower education like diploma, advanced diploma, and in higher education use article. So it's like there's no one textbook, there is 10 different articles. You only go and figure out which article you want, and then you go and find out the logic behind the article. So right, so at school, right, the school logic is there's at least there's some kind of article or something. There's this kind of so-called a goal, a aim, right? You just need to find out the logic of that so-called data, and then add in your own logic. So it's data's logic plus your personal logic, right? Because you're going to explain it differently. Everybody can read the same article, same textbook, but everybody's explanation or understanding is different. So how it works at school logic is, at first you have this kind of so-called book. Let's simplify and say there's a book, and then everybody is going to talk about the book and in their own version, in their own style. So school logic is more of there's this book and there's you. So book plus you equals school logic. Not so much, yeah, so like, formal logic. Whereas in the working world it's different. Working world is not so much about your ability to read, write, and think. It's not so much about the book logic and your own logic. It's more about how good you are at the job, right? How efficient you are at the job, and how well you are at socializing, right? When I went to school, right, there was not much socializing, right? Could be myself being an introvert, or it could be just that everybody is too busy studying, right? So there was not much socializing. People were just they were just mainly talking due to school, what's it called, class discussion, right? Maybe the lecturer asks you to, okay, you and you and you pair up, discuss about this topic, you and you. So it was just mainly very, very necessary lah. It was a necessary thing to communicate, but there was no like so-called socializing to build rapport with people, much less say friendship. So school is pretty independent, I got to say. But in the working world is different. There's a bunch of socializing, right? Your department mix with their department, you try to mix with your own department first, right? So there's a lot of socializing logic aspect in the working world, and there's also a lot of more of doing rather than thinking. In the working world, they see how well you can do something rather than how much you can think, right? So school is more how well you can think, right? So it's kind of different, right? So I have friends who are at the opposite spectrum. They work for many years. They want to upgrade themselves at their job, or they want to just further educate because they got bored. Working for many years can get very mentally draining. So from there, they choose to go and further study. And as they further study, they realize school was so different. Like nobody socialize, everybody just do their own thing. It's like all just sitting down there doing their own thing, right? And then after that, you get mentally drained easily because there's so much thinking involved. Right? When you go to work, it's about how good you are at the job. Right? If you are if you do manual labor, depending, for example, engineering, how good you are fixing something. F&B, how good you are cooking. Logistics, how good you are at maybe organizing something. Office is how good you are at keeping track of the data. So stuff like that lah. So it's more of skill based. The skill is about how well you can do something, efficiency. That's where I struggled, right? I'm more of a like school logic, educational logic, formal logic. Like I think a lot, and when I go there, my thinking did not matter at all. Did not matter at all. Doesn't matter how much you can think. You'll just be overwhelmed by the pressure of how the workload, the need to communicate with different people for different purposes of the job, right? So communication is another thing apart from thinking, right? Struggle a lot on that. Yeah, it was a big culture shock to me, like, whoa, what's going on? And also doing something, right? So I hope that you all understand that just because someone is educated does not mean they can do the job well. You must understand this logic. And also, someone who is very good at working, right? You must also understand they may not be very good at thinking, right? So apart from their job, you try to talk to them certain things, right? Maybe work related or personal related. You can see that they don't think much. They just say like, okay, just get it. This is A B C D. This is the fastest route. This is the most effective route. Done. But if you're saying the A B C don't work, how then they just stop there with a very blank face, like what is this guy talking about? So you need to understand the work's logic and the school logic is different, and your day-to-day logic is also different, right? At work, I'm not a very 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 confident person, right? Because I'm not very good at my job, be it various type of jobs, right? So it's called hard skill versus soft skill. Soft skill is more of thinking, hard skill is more of doing. So I'm not very confident at hard skill, right? I tend to be so-called behind. Like I'm lacking in terms of ability, in terms of hard skill. So people at the workplace do tend to get frustrated at me for being slower than the average people. But we all got to start somewhere lah. Right? One good thing about work logic is they like to see people's endurance, right? You can be new, you can be just be a fresh graduate, you can be as blur as possible. They don't really care. What they do care is how well you can endure, right? Let's say people scream, shout at you because they're frustrated at you being slow, not much of a doer, right? I'm more just a thinker. Right? Both has its plus and minus, right? So you see that you can see that people get frustrated at you, but they never give up hope on you, right? That is pretty really very very interesting, right? At the work world, people do get very frustrated at you because at the work world things are very fast, and if you're slow, you tend to jam up the entire system, or you jam up the entire workflow, right? Or if you are blur like me, very confused, what do I do and how does the thing operate? Not highly aware lah, right? You what's it called? You get people frustrated, but they don't give up on you. That's the fascinating thing. They don't give up on you, right? Maybe they do when things are very serious, but on a day-to-day basis, they don't give up at you, because to them, job is something that can be mastered or can be refined over time, but they are more concerned about your potential. Like why potential? Because some people at the work world, they are very good at their job, but they tend to be very hot tempered. You won't be able to place them as a leadership role because being so hot tempered, right? No one wants to work with a hot tempered person, right? So maybe you being a mild tempered person, people want to work with you. So if they can train your skill, and and if your skill, the basic skill is solid and strong, they can so-called bring you up to the next level of leadership role. Or maybe you are not interested in leadership role, at least they can put you, to change the environment, make things feel more positive, make people feel more happy, right? Because at work it's really so much pressure. You want to have a place of happiness, not so much of a place of stress, right? But at school it's very different. At school it's very independent. They very taking time. People don't talk to one another. They just want to observe one another, have their own opinion, right? Then maybe they tend to do a lot of research, right? So school, there's nothing much really doing. It's more of thinking. Okay, maybe there is doing how you read and write. Maybe that's why I remoduled. My hard skill is not very good, right? But because through your reading and writing, people can see your thinking. That's how I passed, and fortunately even got honors, right? So that's how it works, right? Nothing much today. It's just an introduction, sharing my viewpoints on life, right? So in the further series that you'll come to see, channel logic is about talking about different various forms of logic to help you understand and cope, right? Channel logic to me is more like a GPS. When you're driving car, you need some kind of map. So that logic will help you guide yourself through in life, right? Right. Everybody has a various different form of logic. I hope to see you in the next video, and thank you everybody. Bye.